Legendaryaxe 2, a title many of us in the US were a little confused by. You would assume it's a sequel to the excellent Legendaryaxe from 1989. It does have two axes on the artwork, so yeah. But the axe is only a small part of the game, and this time things are gloomy and dark with a story and time period that have nothing to do with the original. What? Well, some sources report it was simply a mistake in the US translation of the Japanese title. Others say it was a way of capitalizing on the success of the original by using the exact same name. Look, whatever the case, I am just thankful it was released because it's a great side-scrolling action game. Both the king and queen suddenly pass away, leaving the throne of the ancient kingdom empty. In order to determine the next king, there is a contest between the royal princes Zack and Sirius. Desperate for victory, Prince Zack turns to the master of evil and darkness, King Drodom, for help in defeating his brother. Of course, evil starts getting out of hand, and now Prince Sirius must restore peace to the royal palace with the legendary axe, sword in hand. There are 7 stages in Legendaryaxe 2, some of which are quite expansive. The game begins side-scrolling left to right, but then our hero will be forced to climb and choose multiple paths. This adds some nice variety. For example, the 6th stage is literally a climb fest, with obstacles and enemies on almost every platform. One wrong step, and it's all the way back to the bottom. As mentioned, Sirius begins with the legendary Royal Sword. No, I'm not kidding. Serious. You know, it might actually be pronounced Sirius or Sirius, but I like Sirius. Anyway, later he collects the sickle and chain, good for attacking enemies at a distance, and the axe. There's the axe, the most powerful but with short range. Each of the weapons can be increased in power, making some quite deadly. The one thing missing is weapon charging and the power-up gauge for the main attack, which played a huge role in the first game. Many people miss this feature, but they do toss in multiple weapons this time in order to try and fill the gap. Enemies also drop orbs with little symbols inside. These symbols award power-up items, such as the Roman numeral 1 that hands out an extra life, and half-moons, medallions, and stars, all of which increase Sirius's health in some way. Magic bombs can also be collected, which allows Sirius to destroy groups of enemies all at once. Seriously sweet. That is, until you meet the enemies who can also shoot out the same magic bombs, and well, that seriously sucks. Okay, I'll stop now. Speaking of enemies, they are known as Prince Zack's evil horde, and are a strange lot to say the least. Meet Nomalax, Conk, Manny, and these blob things that capture your legs and force you to jump in order to break free, just to land right smack dab into another one. Ugh. Although overall a very dreary and drab looking game, Legendaryaxe 2 has some pretty good graphics with some nice color shining through. Most of the design is well crafted with interesting backgrounds and strange enemies, especially when it hits you with some dimension in Stage 6. The bosses are quite large and are just plain cool. Sometimes the main character animation is weird, like he almost looks bored. Otherwise, it's all pretty good. The sound effects are also pretty cool. Lightning bolts, the clank-clank sound of the robots, and bosses who explode with gusto. Ooh, ah. The music is also really good and creates a great ambiance in each stage. You know, sometimes the sound chip in the TurboGrafx can really surprise you, and Legendaryaxe 2 utilizes it pretty well. In my opinion, Sirius controls a little better than Gauguin, the star of the original game. He still has some bizarre jumping, but it seems to control better in midair. Using weapons is super fast and easy, and overall the controls are pretty sharp. When Sirius dies, he begins at a particular checkpoint within a stage randomly chosen by the game. Sometimes this is a bit unsettling. I also detected a little slowdown when a lot of characters were on screen at once, slightly affecting my aim. But otherwise, Legendaryaxe 2 is quite fun with some great little touches smashing through. Plus, every time Sirius defeats a boss, he does something different, often getting so excited he bounces off the screen. These little moments really add to the fun, and I recommend Legendaryaxe 2 for any action platform fan. Oh, Gauguin and Sirius do share one particular trait. They both wear next to nothing. Most sequels are usually more of the same. Legendaryaxe 2 is interesting because it holds very little from the original while creating a fun and challenging action adventure. I found it to be a tad easier than the first, but it tosses in so many goodies that it makes for a worthwhile afternoon. I like this game just as much as the original. In fact, it kind of reminds me a little of the arcade classic Rastan. And that, my friends, is seriously cool.